Good Wednesday evening to all of you. It's Sandra Shields, and I'm your practitioner on duty tonight for the Metaphysical lesson. Thank you so much for joining me for this lesson, and I really appreciate your presence, and I'm happy to offer something that's uplifting during this holiday season. So when I was thinking about this lesson, my process is really to think about what topics might be helpful during this time. And as we're going into winter, we're going into the solstice, we're going into a very different holiday season than what we have experienced before. I was trying to think about what are some principles or things to think about that might be helpful. And it kind of popped into my head as I was going through the Science of Mind textbooks, looking for inspiration, to talk a little bit about listening. And how this time of winter, the winter solstice, is really a time of contemplation for a lot of people. It's a time to listen to your relatives, traditionally when you would join with them during the holiday season. At this point, you'll probably be joining with them via Zoom, but still, there's an opportunity to take a moment to really tune in to your intuition, to really tune in to what people are talking about, what your divine inspiration is saying to you, and listening to that. So I thought I would talk about that today. Traditionally, this time of year, not only is it the holiday season, but it's also the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year when the dark comes and the light is dimmer, and then it starts to grow as we go into the spring. And traditionally, a lot of people during this time the crops are in. It would be a time of rest and contemplation. And so it was with that sort of spirit of contemplation that I thought about talking about listening. In the Science of Mind textbook by Ernest Holm, he has a whole section on affirmations for physical perfection. So really his suggestions for prayers on various physical conditions. And I actually found this very lovely affirmation or prayer about deafness. And in this case, we're talking about, I thought it had everything to do with listening, because we're really talking about the divine connection here and how that impacts our ability to be present and listen. So I thought I would start by reading this to you. We are reminded in the words of Isaiah, "The Lord Jehovah has opened thine ears." The ear is the physical representation of a receptive capacity of the mind. An attitude of quietness and confidence, a listening attitude of "Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth." That will open the way for the voice of Spirit to speak into the inner ear. We can so train our ears to listen to the divine harmony within, that we shall reproduce its melody, rhythm, and beauty in all of our ways. Hearing is a divine idea in mind, and all divine ideas are perfect. Ideas have a service to render to the spirit of man. As long as man expects and accepts wholeheartedly that service and cooperates consciously and subjectively with it, there is nothing to oppose the functioning of the physical instruments through which ideas operate. Treat to know that your hearing is perfect, that it is God hearing through you. There is no belief in inaction that in any way can hinder this hearing, for every idea of the body is now complete and perfect and functions according to divine law. Be open and receptive to the truth, that it is always speaking. Say, "I perfectly hear the voice of good. My ears are open to the divine harmony. The inner ear and the outer ear are both open and receptive to the vibration of perfect harmony." And so it is. And so I just really liked the idea in that passage about just being open and receptive, not only to hearing the voice of your intuition, but also to be present and available to listen to other people, especially during this very challenging time. So if you were here with me, and I'm going to ask you to do this at home, I would be asking all of you, what do you do to tune in? What helps you to be receptive, not only to your inner voice, but to be receptive to other people? And what might help? And usually when we talk about those things, everybody has some ideas that they can share. So I just want you to think about that right now. What is it that I do? What practices do I do to create that stillness, that listening ear, not only for the divine presence, but also for the other people around me? And so I think that if we're in this winter season and where there's a moment to stop and reflect really about this year, we're heading into New Year's also, and I think that a lot of people are really thinking about this year. And so I think when I was thinking about how to apply this intuition and listening, I was thinking about just do whatever practice that you need to do to pay attention to that quiet voice, that listening ear, and to tune up your intuition. And that can even be, meditation. Sometimes there can be walking meditation. I've been actually using the app Headspace, and that's been really helping me with my meditation practice. But whatever you can do to be quiet and to listen to that intuition, that gut feeling, that sixth sense, the more that you can listen to that, the better that it is. And actually, when I'm talking to people, especially people who are asking me a question, or they seem to be troubled about something, or they're bringing about an idea that I may not necessarily agree with, and I don't want to have my first reaction to be something where I would be angry or upset. I want to go to a higher place. I will tune into my intuition and I will say, Lord, what is it that you would have me say in this situation? Give me the words. Give me what it is that you would like to communicate about this situation. So that tuning in is really, really, really important. And to try to put some wisdom to not only your ability to really listen and focus, but your ability to speak back in a way that's comforting and holistic and holy. Sometimes I noticed early on when I became a therapist early in my practice, being able to listen well is a skill that we all need to learn. But for a therapist, you really need to tune that up to a very high level. And I found that breathing was really important, paying attention to the bottom of my feet. If I had a situation where I was feeling anxious about what a client was saying, or there was a situation where I needed to tune in more, just thinking about the bottom of my feet, feeling myself fully present before I spoke was really something that was very helpful to me. So whatever tools that you have in your toolbox for listening to your inner voice and listening to other people, just really, I want you to think about that during this week. And then when you're thinking about the year that we've all had, using that intuition to really determine for yourself what practices, what things in my life would I like to let go of in the next year, 2021. What are there relationships or situations I need to forgive? Are there new things that I want to bring into my life in the coming year? And just really spending some time to tune in to that also, I think, is really a really important thing to do with your hearing abilities at this time. So when you tune in to those things and you have a sense of what this year has meant for you, and you look at what it is that you want to increase and what it is that you want to decrease and let go of, then I think the next thing, including things that need to be forgiven, I think the next thing to think about is that once you've identified those things that you want to let go of, once you have identified those things that you want to bring in to your life, using that divine connection is just really, really important. So once you have identified those things, then using prayer is really, really important. And in religious science, we use prayer very specifically to release things that no longer serve us, and also to affirm those things that we want to bring into our lives. So using that prayer practice, I think, is very important. You know, releasing and letting go of anything that no longer serves me, you know, asking also for perfect employment, amazing health, right relationship, especially if you're having a challenge with somebody close to you. Bringing in those divine principles in your prayers are really, really important during this time. And also remember that the center is here for you. Reverend Beverly is here. The practitioners are here for you. And so if you're going through this practice of listening and also listening to the people around you and you need some prayer, please feel free to contact us. That's what we're here for. I think that it's been a particularly challenging year, and so whatever you can do to kind of get your feathers straight and think about what it is that you want to do in terms of moving forward. If you need some help and prayer on that, please don't hesitate to contact us either by phone or by email. So during this winter season, as we're going into this time of year where things are dark, where it's the holiday season, where it's a different holiday season than what we've experienced before, using that divine connection, that ability to listen, not only to yourself, but those people around you, and then to determine what's happened in this year in terms of what your prayer plan is for moving forward, I think is really important during this time. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I so appreciate you being here. God bless you all. Thank you. Amen.